So, dear friends, this is Ingo from About Africa and the Rest of the World, and today I do my annual tribal art market here 2024 review. You know, it's end of the year. Let's see what has happened, especially what has happened in the auctions for the African and Oceanic art. And let's start with one thing is it was a really great year for African and Oceanic art. Not for everything, but it was an amazing year. And you see, we had a turnover in tribal art auctions of about 100 million euro. 100 million euro, which is a lot of. It's my calculation. Maybe later you've got some things from Arcade, which will tell you it's 110 or 120 or 90, whatever. It's about 100 million euro. And this is amazing because, you know, last year we had 38 millions. So it's 3 times more than last year. But of course, it's not the sensation at all because 2021 we had more or less the same level. So it's 3 times more. It's more than 2023, but same level as 2 years ago. And there was one difference between 2024 and 2023, and this was this auction, the Barbier-Mueller auction of Christie's. This was the Kunst und Auktion, where I wrote a double pager, and it was even on the cover of this German newspaper, art newspaper. And you know, it was a real blockbuster. You know, Barbier-Mueller is one of the best private museums in the world for this kind of art, and they sold via Christie's amazing objects, and this was really a blockbuster thing. And it made about 73 million euro only this auction. Nearly everything was sold for 50,000 or 100,000, 3 million, 5 million, whatever. It is really, it's 3/4 of the whole auction market turnover is in this one auction, 3/4. And it is the highest tribal art turnover ever in one auction. 2 years ago, 2021, we had 66 million with Pyrénées. That's why 2021 was so high. But here it's even higher than Pyrénées 2021. And you know, there were so many iconic objects. I wrote an article about it. And yeah, let's focus on 2 objects just. Yeah, this was the Fang, the new world record for African and Oceanic art, traditional African and Oceanic art, for nearly 15 million euro. And there was this Taurus mask for 5.6 million, which was amazing too. So this was a great thing. And you know, in this Barbier-Mueller auction, I had the feeling, which was at the beginning of the year, nearly at the beginning of the year, I had the feeling that it really pushed the whole market, especially for expensive objects and for middle expensive objects. And middle expensive means 30,000, 10,000, whatever. So for example, we had some weeks later at the Semitic Münster, we had a great auction with 850,000 euro. And one alone, the Malangan you see here, made 212,000 euro. And you know, it was the world record for Semitic Münster. They're doing auctions like this for, I don't know, 25 or 30 years or whatever. But this was amazing. Their record has been, I think, 100,000 euro for an Einstein mask some years ago. Old people know it, were there. But now we are 212,000 euro, and there were more objects with more than 100,000 euro. So it was a really amazing auction for Semitic. And some month ago, and I think in October, there was another Semitic auction with material I would say was okay, was good, but it was not the best material ever. But Semitic Münster, the German auction house for this god, they sold, I think, 80% or 85%. It was an amazing success. There were a lot of people in the sale, in the auction house itself, and so it was great. So Semitic, he really made money this time. But it was not only Semitic. For example, here's Ada. Some weeks later, then Barbier-Mueller sold a Massim spatula. This is a spatula. It's a spatula for more than 400,000. And a Guru mask for 350,000. And some months later, they had a Kizzy for 305,000. And I think each Ada auction made about 1 million euro. They had 2 of this. So it was amazing for Ada as well. And you know, Ada is not specialized in this art, but Ada has sometimes good objects, and it was like here Or look at Kello. There was Le Cascina de Leo Cher. I think they made 600,000 euro with this. With Cascinas. This was the most, the highlight was this one for 85,000. And 1 week later, they sold this Fang for more than 300,000. So it pushed the whole market. There was a lot of money. I think there were a lot of people who tried to buy something from Barbier-Mueller, but were shocked because the prices were so high. For example, I talked to a high gallery staff, the staff of the high gallery, and asked them, "Hey, have you bought something from Barbier-Mueller?" And she told me, yes, but some cheap things. So cheap means 100,000, things like that. And I think next year, at the end of January 2025, at the Brava, then Didier Claes will sell one Barbier-Mueller object. But most Barbier-Mueller objects, they went to a museum in Arabia, they went to the Cape Colony, and I heard they went to America. So this is where really the money was. And so a lot of of the high collectors were there saying, "Hey, I have here 100,000 euro. What can I do with it?" Because I couldn't buy anything from Barbier-Mueller. And so maybe this is one reason why it pushed everything. And because after this record, yeah, the tribal art was in the mind again. It's like, hey, tribal art is important. Yeah. And for example, the next thing is Gikello. It's native, sorry. Oh, there's no photos Gikello. Okay, so photos native, of course. They sold Fang January. This was before Barbier-Mueller. Later, Marquesas, they made 700,000 or 800,000 euro, whatever, in each auction. Native is always successful, so they're more or less on the same level. Like Semitic, maybe better. Don't ask me. So there was a really push for the whole market. It was not only the one auction, but there were more very good results. Let's come to some observations I made. And I think one was a small one, was very interesting for me. You know, tribal art, it can keep up with modern art. What do I mean? We had one sale at Christie's, and 20th century evening sale. They made 400 million euro in one sale. You know, the whole tribal art market is 100 million euro, and Christie's made in one auction 400 million euro. And in the sale there was one only ex-orthodox, that's why modern, 20th century, you know, modern art. It was sold for 2.5 million euro. Ex-Lamberts, ex-Speyer, great provenance. So, you know, it's tribal art is nothing compared to the whole art market, but it stands there and it was very good in its niche. Just niche, but a good niche. Was everything perfect? No, of course not. You see, a question mark. Traditional African art in USA. What has happened in USA? I think it was 1 or 2 years ago, Christie's and Sotheby's tried to do some tribal art auctions in New York. Now I just saw that there was Bonhams. And Bonhams is always there. They have Bonhams Skinner and Bonhams USA. And the most important, most expensive object which was sold at Bonhams Skinner was this Northern Plains robe from the Native Americans. And in Bonhams USA was this walking stick. You know, Kamehameha was maybe the most important leader of Hawaii. He was important to get Hawaii to the modern times, let's say, to the modern times. Modern times better than old times, I don't know. And this walking stick was made from a spear he had. It was a gift in the 1920s. But as you see here, one was Native American, one record. Other record was this Hawaii. Oceanic art is always good in Bonhams, but they do not sell high or very. But let's say the results of the African art they're selling are not so great, not at all. So African art, the traditional African art, really has a problem to sell in America, in the USA. And one other thing is, for example, Pace African Oceanic Art, they're closing after 50 years. This was a New York gallery. I heard that the company who are the owners of this, that they said, "Oh no, we don't want to do tribal art, we do other things." which are more important. So I think there's Cooper Evans. Hey Cooper, you have to you have to solve, you have to save, you have to do everything with America, but America really has problems. There's some great collectors, I think, who even bought at Barbier-Mueller. They are experts and things. They are art consultants who are buying and selling objects, but for the auctions house, America isn't the point at the moment, for African art especially. Another thing I saw was that I called it big players play online. You know, everybody's doing online. Yes, of course. And there are auction houses like Hammer, for example, who are doing very well with this Hammer in Basel. But this time there were Christie's with the auction. There was, for example, Sotheby's with the auction, which was online only. And the point is they sold well. You know, here's a Vancouver Island mask was sold for more than $160,000, I guess, or euro, whatever. And Sotheby's sold the Senufo for more than 500,000 euro. That means they're doing online auctions and they can sell well. What does this mean for the normal auction? Let's see what will happen. I'm always happy because if a normal auction is there, because, you know, this is a push always for the market. This is an event. The tribal art needs more events. It really needs events. Yeah? Exhibitions, auction, things like that. And Barbier-Mueller, one more. And so it's nice, but online auctions do well, but the other auctions are needed as well. And, you know, online auctions worked very well. Another thing I saw at auctions was, I called it poker games. I saw it at the online auctions at, I think it was Sotheby's or Christie's, and I saw it at the auction of Bonham's. It was this no reserve strategy. There were a lot of objects with no reserve. That means there's an object which maybe could cost 10,000 euro, and you can say, yeah, click, I take it for 100. And yeah, it worked very well with Christie's this year. Bonham's was there were a lot of cash objects for 1,000 euro, 3,000 euro, 1,500, 1,600, the voodoo objects. I think it was okay that they could sell them, but it was not, of course, not the best thing ever. And they had 3 or 4 ebos, great large ebos, ex-cachache, exhibited by Casanovas, you know Casanovas. And I think maybe 10 or 20 years ago, you had to give, I think they costed maybe 50,000, 100,000, whatever euro. Now you could get this one for 3,200 euro, including premium. It's a joke. It's a 1.50 m, 1.60 m sculpture. And I do have one from the same hand of the same workshop, which is but only 1.30 m. So what has happened there? One point is there have been a lot of auctions in December. Bonham's was just one. There were auctions. This was really too much. You know, there was the push from Barbier-Mueller, but December it was, yeah, we saw too much material in the market. And the second is, of course, that Nigeria, objects from Nigeria, they don't sell very well at the moment. Not everything. Mumu you do great, for example, and images always sell. But especially ebos or uhos and things, whoa, they're not so great at the moment. So the end result was 3,200 euro, which is nearly nothing. Another thing which I think was important in the last year, in 2024, was, I call it the auction house merry-go-round. You know, we had one Lambert's auction, and they sold this. And there was, for example, this great Corva for 53,000. And you had Bonham's one auction with this Easter Island object for more than 100,000 euro. The Lamberts made, I think, 400,000, something more. The other made 600,000. But why merry-go-round? Because the bosses of Lambert's, the department, that means the expert and the boss is Emily Jolie and Tim Toyton. They changed from Lambert's to Bonham's. Was for me a small sensation, but okay. And now they're doing Bonhams in Brussels. This is the first time that there's a tribal art department in Brussels for Bonhams. And what happened to Lamberts? Doris Visser is now the expert of Lamberts. And Visser was the expert at Dorotheum, of merry-go-round. The other expert is Bernard de Gruyne, which is a sensation because de Gruyne is one of the most, of the best gallerists for our art from Belgium, and that he's doing something for Lamberts. I was surprised, let's say I was surprised. So we had this very strong start. We had a lot of pushing. We had good results. We had some very interesting things going on. And at the end, we had, yes, a strong end once again. And this strong end, who's responsible for it? It's once again, of course, Christie's. Christie's the ruler of the world. You know, with Barbier-Mueller and this one, they made more than 80 million euro. And they have had a good on auction too. And they had this Uli. You know, I guess they had more than 80 or even 85% of the whole market this time. And in this auction at December 18, they made more than 7 million euros, and this fund that brought them 4 million. So it was a strong year. At the end, once again, after November, December, there was a little too much. Yeah, too much objects, too much everything. But there's still a lot of interest for this art, you know, for the high things, high end, and for low things too. So, other point which I always do on the year, but I will do it very short, is about the fairs. I do it short because, you know, I did a video for nearly each fair about of Brava and the TFA, the great art fairs, yeah, about the civilizations. A new one will be end of January in Brussels, about the Paris Tribal, about Parcours des Mondes. I think I did not a video about the fairs in London and in Amsterdam, but there. And my feeling was, I was there was good quality, but my feeling was I did not see so many, let's say, smiling galleries this time. It was very quiet, even for the Brava, even for civilizations, even for Paris Tribal, was very quiet. Parcours des Mondes, I saw a lot of objects, a lot of people there. But, you know, 2023, we had a great Parcours des Mondes with a lot of smiling galleries. This one, once again, there are always people smiling because they do say good. For example, Civilizations, Joe de Book was smiling. But Michael Werner is smiling all the time. But I think 2024 Parcours des Mondes was not the best parcours ever. And one problem was, of course, that you had many objects on auctions. You can buy a lot of things on, even online on Facebook, for example, with things like Deal or No Deal. You can buy good things for 500 or 600 euros. But I had the feeling that Parcours des Mondes, I think that the prices were too high. You know, it's okay that prices are too high. You know, if you have something, would you say normally it's worth 10,000 euro, and you would sell it for 15,000 on Parcours des Mondes, I would say, yeah, I do understand it because parcours costs money, a fair does cost nothing. But they try to sell it for 20 or 30 or even 40,000. Plus, everybody could hear that after the fair, the price dropped down for some. And that gives you not a good feeling that, you know, fairs are there to say to the collectors, hello, we are active, we are interested. Of course, the galleries want to sell something. This is very important, of course. But the other point is you need to give events. You have to say, hey, the art is great. But you can't do so if your prices are too high. There have been great exhibitions, of course. You see my videos, but it was too high. And just for this point, I have one question mark. This is the future of the galleries. You know, a lot of some even high-class, high-end galleries telling me that they don't know how the future will be. They're saying, oh no, it will stop. And for example, Lehrmann's, they don't work there at the moment. I think Brussels has still problems, even if there is the Civilizations, which is a very interesting fair, which takes place 2 times. But I think the galleries, they do have problems. Let's see what will happen the next time, though. So Auctionmarkt was great. Galleries, let's see. I hope that they will exist, because you need galleries. You need, it's just auctions is nothing. You need the events, you need the feeling, you need that you can touch it. You can go to someone all the time to talk with him, to have an expert and so on. So I believe you really need to take galleries. So this was 2024, a good year for the auctions, a great year, a lot of money, especially for Christie's. And yeah, let's see for 2025. See you next year. Maybe I will do a video for the Prafa. That's at the end of January. Let's see what will happen. And maybe I will visit the civilizations as well in January. But okay, see you. Bye.